A couple of screens. Esquivel to Garcia. Off the deflection. Los Fresnos comes back and wins. Santa Maria will put up a three. Bang! Santa Maria!
Here's Warner. Here comes a headed jam. Counted for two. Field. Adios! And the Falcons win on a walk-off. And it's saved. What a game.
Perez, that's my play, off the backboard, counting, and a win! And a win! Ryan Perez wins the game for the Santa Rosa Warriors, and they go nuts, and why not?
Live once again here from Luke Fruia Buick GMC in Cadillac, Luke Fruia Motors to be exact, at Buick GMC in Cadillac off of Price Road, Old Alice Road. Just what a fantastic Wednesday it is. Now, of course, normally I hate this week kind of in general. It's just one of those Wednesdays, you know, it's basically, of course, Halloween week. It's not my favorite time of week or time of year to be exact. Halloween's, there's something about it that I just don't like in general. But anyways, it's a little different. There's a cold front that's come through, and really a cool front, but again, it's cold in the morning, so something about this week, it's a lot different for this time of year. It's 78 degrees Fahrenheit, feels like 80. Absolutely gorgeous. The winds make it perfect. It's a low tonight of around 50 or 49 actually at 7 a.m. That's how cold it'll get this evening. Just absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous weather. It's finally fall, our first fall show of the year in a way because of this cold front, because of the weather in general, and it's a great time of year. This year, of course, Texas A&M for the first time, or in my whole entire lifetime, are 8-0. Check 1 2, mic check 1 2. So just crazy stuff, crazy news in, the span of however long. And I'm excited. I'm excited for it all. Meanwhile, of course, let's talk about the games that are going on this weekend on the RSL network of sites on the channels, which is very, very exciting here coming up because of how exciting just everything is. And here it is. Your schedule this weekend for Rio Sports Live Network and the football games coming up here very shortly, as volleyball, of course, the season had officially been done and dusted about a week ago. And yes, the playoffs, I believe, have officially started, which will update you all a little bit throughout the show. But for the games this upcoming weekend, we have your Channel 4 games, and yes, indeed, you'll be very excited to know that Rio Sports Live Network will get the coverage of Flower Bluff taking on PSG North. That'll also be on Channel 4.1, which is very exciting. Your second streamed game on Thursday, that will be, of course, off of Rio Sports Live Network as well as Valley Central Plus. This is exciting here. It is the Mackay Bulldogs. They host the Mission Eagles, and that's going to be very exciting as well. Why is that such a big game? Well, we'll get into it. The Mission Eagles are on a 2-game win streak, and all of a sudden have new life and are not eliminated from the playoffs just yet. What can happen for themselves is if they were to beat the Mackay Bulldogs, most likely on paper, McAllen Rowe will lose to the McAllen Memorial Mustangs. McAllen Rowe then, of course, will be on the road the week after, on the road, I should say, I believe, if not home, to play against the rivals of the Mackay Bulldogs. Why that's also a big game? Well, if, let's say, Nicky Rowe lose 2 times in a row, and the Mission Eagles finish off the season winning 4 straight games, Mission Eagles will go to the playoffs, and the Nicky Rowe Warriors will be eliminated from playoffs contention. In the first round of the playoffs, by district will look a little different than we expected. That is, of course, since we are heading into the final 2 weeks of football here, which is very exciting. But those are the 2 games so far. Of course, those will be the ones that are also broadcasted on Channel 4 or KVEO platforms, to be exact. Again, the 4.1 game being the bigger one, which is PSG North taking on Flower Bluff. Both are undefeated in district play. That is for the district. Winner of that one will be crowned district champion due to the fact of the head-to-head heading into 1 week. But other 2 games, we have 2 more games that will be on the RSL Network sites. At Bogus Ford Stadium, you have Harlingen South taking on PSG Memorial. After that game, you will also have at Sam's Stadium, Brownsville Lopez taking on Brownsville Pace. That should be a fun one. After that game, Friday, October 31st, Halloween, we will have a slate of games. A lot of broadcast times will be at 6:30. A couple will be at 7. The broadcast times at 7 p.m. Let's tell you about those games here very quickly. At Edinburgh will be Edinburgh Villa versus Palmview. Palmview have had a bit of struggle. They find themselves now in, I believe, 6th place in district. We'll double check that after we go here in a second. Then it is McAllen Memorial as well against the Rowe Warriors. That is on Friday. We kind of talked about that, as well as, well, those are your broadcast times starting at 7 p.m. Let's go with the rest of the games that are at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, as in broadcast time will begin. Then will be at Bogus Stadium. You will have Harlingen High. They're taking on the Los Fresnos Falcons. Then at Brownsville Veterans Memorial High School, you will also have San Benito taking on none other than Brownsville Veterans Memorial. Check that, that's at Sam Stadium. At Mission, Tom Landry Stadium to be exact, that will be Mission Vets against Aroma High School. Then also, you will have the big one at 6:30 p.m. That will be the game that will be streamed also on Valley Central. Plus, will be Sherryland High and Sherryland Pioneers. Should be a blast of a rivalry game for you all to kind of check out in general because, well, it's always fun when those two teams play against each other. We'll talk a little bit about how those teams kind of fare up to be exact. And then I believe I've mentioned the rest of the games. That is your football for Football Friday. Nothing will be on Saturday as we get set up closer and closer to basketball season, which will be very fun as well. Once we finish up, of course, football, wrapping up the football season, then it will be all eyes on basketball for the Valley. And, of course, the storylines when it comes down to the basketball season will be, can Edinburgh Vela show up once again like they have the past couple of years? How do Mac High basketball look in, of course, the RGV and in the Valley? What can teams do in general? Can they make a difference? The storylines, of course, in the private basketball or in the TAPS side of things are Harvest Christian back for another year of dominance in 1A for TAPS. Can St. Joseph Academy make a run as well? Is there a possibility? All these fun things, and very quickly right after those talks begin, Soccer Talk also begins as well as once the new year steps foot. Remember, we're at the end of October. So once the new year steps foot, we're all talking about soccer here in the RGV. Can a state champion finally be brought back in the RGV for soccer? That could be a possibility in the making on boys soccer more than, of course, girls soccer. Girls soccer, normally they struggle, but the biggest talk, of course, will be who's going to be district champs in 31-5A for girls soccer as well. So it will happen very, very quickly this year. But let's dive into it. The big football games that we've talked about this week happen to be, of course, PSJ North and none other than Flower Bluff. We talked a little bit about it for a split second as well. I heard yours truly, myself, was a potential person to, again, call that game. I'm not upset that I'm not, because I get to cover, again, Mission High and the Mac High Bulldogs, which are, of course, I've been at McAllen Veterans Memorial Stadium, DQ Fan Field, all season long, and I know this Mac High Bulldog roster and team in and out, inside and out. So, in the end, best place for me was right there. And I'm completely, perfectly okay with that and happy to be right back at McAllen Veterans Memorial Stadium. Not literally, but it's one light down from where I live, basically, and so a couple lights down, to be more real. But it's still, it's exciting. I'm right there. It's always fun. I get to finally keep up with them. It's been a blast. But we move on. Big game, PSJ North and Flower Bluff. PSJ North, what do they like to do a lot? PSJ North, they love to run the ball. It's been an exciting season for this team. But here's the biggest problem. PSJ North look beatable. Looked like they should have lost again to Harlingen South early on, but great teams find a way to win, especially in high school football, and they had. And so, of course, looking at the schedule just very quickly after that Harlingen South game, they won 38-0, shutout Donna High, played against PSJ Memorial, shutout PSJ Memorial 48-0, beat Wesco East 34-7. So they had a lot to prove that, okay, it was only a fluke that they almost gave up a victory against Harlingen South High School, even though they did close it out 48-35. And so now, of course, playing against Flower Bluff at 7 p.m., that's a lot to really kind of take into consideration, so we will preview the game on both sides. Again, how is this going to fare out? The rushing attacks for both sides. Let's start out with Flower Bluff for one player, which is Smith. He averages about 97 yards a carry, with Guerrero averaging about 171 yards. Sorry, not per carry. Per game. Rushing yards for Guerrero, 171 rushing yards a game. I don't love to just cover, of course, just one single player, but they're able to highlight the main players in general for who's expected to be this amazing player coming up into this game, and who normally highlights and plays the best during the season. Cruz, for his passing yards, though, goes about 245 passing yards a game. That is for Flower Bluff High School, compared to Garcia's 135 passing yards. As much as I talk about, okay, PSA North, they love to run the football constantly because of good old Matthew Kaufman, or good old Coach Kaufman to be exact, at the helm of calling the play calls. You look at this exactly and say, they're more balanced than you would think, which is very exciting to just say, okay, this is more of a game than we anticipated, because, well, if all of a sudden the PSA North, their running game gets stopped, it's not the end of the world, because they can pass the ball pretty well. And that's what I'm always, when I look at these stats from both sides, I can always feel and see that that's more of the case than you really do think. So very exciting again. The biggest thing, the total yards a game, Guerra gets about 185 yards a game, with Cruz having about 253 total yards a game. And so it is very balanced, but then you go with the team comparison. Here's where things will actually make a big difference. 136 rushing yards a game for Flower Bluff, compared to 303 rushing yards a game for PSA North. That is your full picture just off the rushing attack itself. Here's where it gets interesting. The passing yards is 263 passing yards a game, with, on average, for Flower Bluff, compared to 131 passing yards a game for PSA North. How about the receiving yards? 263 receiving yards for Flower Bluff, compared to 131 receiving yards for PSA North. Then the total yards, 399 total yards a game for Flower Bluff, 434 total yards of offense for PSA North. How about that? Even with the passing, and even with PSA North being dominant on the ground, they still average 434 yards a game. For the total offense in general, they get 75. PSA North have 75 total tackles a game, compared to just under 67 total tackles a game for Flower Bluff. Here's where things get interesting. PSA North averaged just under 3 sacks a game, compared to the 2 sacks a game for Flower Bluff. That is very exciting in itself already, because both teams, they can get to the quarterback if the offensive line allow them to. So there will be defensive plays that may make the difference, and I believe that it will be a shootout this time around. And we'll, of course, as I call my game, we'll keep up with this one of course, Flower Bluff and PSA North. I do expect not only a great crowd in the stands for both sides on a Thursday night, might I remind you, because of how much this game matters for both, but I also expect for some records for RSL to be broken for just one game, especially on a Thursday night. I'd expect close to 5,000 people just watching on the YouTube stream alone, which will be very exciting. Like I mentioned, it's one of those games where this is going to be a big one. We move on. Points a game, really, from... So Flower Bluff looked like they have a lot more chances at field goals as well throughout the game. This is where things get interesting. Flower Bluff, throughout the whole entire scoring average, they average 59 points. How do they get there for a whole entire game? Well, let's go to the first quarter, scoring 16 points on average in the first quarter. PSA North average just under 16 points at 15.6. Quarter number 2, another 15-point quarter this time for Flower Bluff. Just about over 15 points, to be exact. 15.4 is what they average for Flower Bluff. So pretty impressive right there with 12, just under 13 points for PSA North, 12.8 points for PSA North and the Raiders in the second quarters on average. Third quarter as well, as I've always noticed, the offenses for even great teams slow down. And so in that third quarter, Flower Bluff averaged just under 10 points in quarter number 3, with PSA North averaging 6.5 points in that third quarter. Here's where the distance is really, really made to finish teams off. It's in that fourth quarter for Flower Bluff, averaging 14.4 points in that fourth quarter. For PSA North, on average, 10 points in the fourth quarter to make the final score. Will be interesting. 59 points for Flower Bluff and 45 points for PSA North. Both teams, on average, if you're able to score 45 points or more in a whole entire game, you're expected to win each one. For Flower Bluff, we, of course, didn't look at for their team. This was the biggest thing. How have they played against other teams throughout this season? This is where the big difference goes into play. 49-6 over Harlingen South High School. 79-0 against Donna High School. 72 points put up against PSA Memorial. 65 points put up against Wesco East. 49 points put up against Brownsville Rivera. And 66 points put up against PSA, or Donna North to be exact. That is where the points really do stack up for Flower Bluff. Again, teams can argue and people can argue, well, Flower Bluff have not played anyone that has been competitive. But the devil's advocate, everything about this is it doesn't matter. You put up 79 points. You put up 70-plus points in 2 games. That is a legitimately elite offense. Harlingen South High School, you put up 49 points against them. Again, an elite offense. I haven't even read about how many points the defense has truly given up against teams in district. 6 points only against Harlingen South. No points against Donna. Shut out the Donna High offense. They gave up 2 scores against PSA Memorial, 14 points. They gave up 1 touchdown against Wesco East. Shut out Brownsville Rivera. And gave up 14 points against Donna North. 2 of those games, again, a shutout. 2 games giving up an equivalent of a touchdown. And 2 games giving up 2 touchdowns and an extra point, making it 14. They don't give up a lot of points is my point. And so it's very exciting. This game is just, I can't wait for it. I'm excited for it. It's not even a game that I'm calling, but it's just how crazy elite Flower Bluff are compared to PSA North. It should still be a great game. I think defenses will come up, but I still believe that both teams, with the elite offenses that they have, it's going to be a higher scoring game than people will expect to see. But that's just me. I'm going to take a break. When I return, we'll talk more high school football. We'll talk about the bigger game that's on the mark for myself, which will be McAllen Memorial and McAllen Rowe coming up here very shortly. I'm Jacob Young. This is Real Sports Live Network. Stay tuned.
Elevation, AT4, AT4X, Denali. Case closed. Fruia GMC, we're professional grade.
Rev up your future with Texas Southmost College's Auto Body Repair Program. In just 2 semesters, you'll gain the skills to become an auto body repair specialist. Learn using industry standard iCar Academy to get you job ready fast. If you're ready to drive your career forward, TSC's Auto Body Repair Program is the place to start. Classes are filling fast, so visit tsc.edu and apply today.
Back we go once again to hear from none other than Luke Fruia Motors, Luke Fruia Buick GMC and Cadillac. If you're in the market for a new car or truck or SUV, come by Luke Fruia Motors here in Brownsville, Texas, just off of Price Road, Old Alice Road. There's a lot, of course, still to talk about. I'm Jake Young. This is Real Sports Live Network. We mentioned, of course, what we'll be talking about when we returned from the commercial break. Before we very quickly get to that, I want to mention one thing. Texas Southmost College Soccer, the women's team last night, they got to compete, of course, in their conference tournament. That's what it is, the Region 14 conference tournament. As the way that their region is brought out and what division they're in on the opposite side of the other side of it, which there's two, the conference is split up into two, the region split up into two. The first region is Northeast Texas Community College with Jacksonville College, Tyler Junior College, Navarro College, and Trinity Valley Community College. If I'm not mistaken, that's all the teams. That's on the other side. Now, as for TSC's side, you have Old Texas Southmost College. You have LSU Eunice, which, doing my research, doing the math, it's actually a closer drive for LSU Eunice to come down than it is for them to go up and all that fun stuff. And so, of course, they're on in the TSC side. Of course, the Buccaneers of Blinn College are also. And so, and Angelina College. Those are your teams. And so there's only 4, is my point. 4 to 5. All of them are able to make the Region 14 conference tournament. The men's side, it's a little different because the men's side have Coastal Bend College, and so they were eliminated even after the victory against Angelina Community College, unranked Angelina Community College, may I remind you. And so I bring this all up because, well, it's necessary to bring up for that whole thing. And, of course, the winner of the Region 14, it's like a mid-major conference in a way, as in you have the automatic bid, but that's about as far as the teams will really get. unless, of course, they're a couple of other teams like Tyler Junior College and or Navarro Community College. There's really two that I see that will automatically get into the actual NJCAA tournament. So, meanwhile, anyways, TSC got to make it over to the next one. They played against Navarro Community College, a team that they had lost at home to early on in the season, a game that I got to cover 5-0. And again, I talked about it. It was just Navarro Community College. They are built for that time, and just the players and all of that are on the next level compared to TSC, where just they don't have the talent, or not necessarily talent, but just the height is a killer. The weight is a killer. Everything that makes a soccer player elite, just the TSC players just did not have. They played a good match, but again, same went for when they were on the road. And the Scorpions will finish off the season with no wins in conference play. A win in non-conference play. Some may say, oh, but they won against Northeast Texas Community College. That has to count for conference. I wouldn't count it necessarily due to the fact it's the other side of the region. So, but again, they finish it off with one win and a draw in their season. I don't know how to feel about it, other than we'll wait and see what the offseason brings for the teams. I feel like there needs to be a structure change there, but you just don't know. I will also expect it to stay the same. Not that big of a deal in the end, because it seems like TSC are happy at where things are heading on to year number 4. Moving on, because I just wanted to bring that up very quickly, because it just giving, of course, the fans an update on especially what it is. Now, of course, this game, in my eyes, is a pretty big one for this weekend on Friday. It's, of course, McAllen Memorial High School against Rowe High School, just due to the fact of this is always a big rivalry, especially in my eyes, just the way that players get to. It always, of course, means something even to beat them. The big rivalry is McAllen Memorial versus the Mackay Bulldogs, but McAllen Memorial gets to play none other than the Rowe Warriors. That's always fun as well. So let's start off. Rushing yards, Menchaca is about 100.5 rushing yards a game, with Braxton Spates' 166.6, so really 167 on average per game, with the passing yards of Kane Coy being about 92.4 passing yards a game. Last week he got to pass a little bit more because McAllen Memorial just needed that to happen, but missed a couple of players open and all that fun stuff, and so they really ended up winning with rushing attacks, and we'll show you all exactly why here in a second. The passing yards a game, Garza really helps out his team with 126 passing yards a game. Again, getting to cover both those teams a week ago goes to show so much from both. Receiving yards a game, Alanis with 63 and Barreto with 43. Both teams do like to run the ball more. So let's go all the way down to team comparison. On the rushing attack for the Rowe Warriors, 190 rushing yards a game, with McAllen Memorial having 338 rushing yards a game. How about the passing yards for both sides? The passing yards, you have 133.5, which would be 134 really passing yards a game for the team comparison for the Rowe Warriors. Now, as for McAllen Memorial, they have none other than 92.9, so 93 passing yards a game for the McAllen Memorial Mustangs, and they stay the same thing with, of course, the way that their formation has almost always been and has been for as long as I even went to school. My sister went to school there, and everyone, down the line is the two-back formation from behind, sometimes three. But you have the two backs behind Kane Coy, and then the one wide out to the left and the one wide out to the right. And that's how they set up 90% of the time on the field. And I mean 90% of the time because really only 10% do they change up their formation, where Kane has to set up with one back beside him, maybe trips out to the right side occasionally or trips out to the left. And so really focusing on that exactly and seeing how this team really works out, there's a reason why they've been more successful this season than they have in the past. What I just mean by that is, well, once again, that's a big victory in general. Sorry, I just got an alert from ESPN. I'll read you all this. This is breaking news right now from the NFL. Adam Schefter just comes in. Trade Jets are sending cornerback Michael Carter and a 2027 7th round pick to the Eagles in exchange for wide receiver John Mechie and a 2027 6th round pick per sources. Exciting there. Anyways, we move on and we continue with this. The total receiving yards for both sides, 323.8, so 324 receiving yard, total receiving yards. Check that. Receiving yards is 131.14. The Road Warriors with 90.4 for McAllen Memorial. Total yards game, 323.8 total yards of offense for the Road Warriors, as well as you have, of course, 431.1 total yards of offense for McAllen Memorial. The tackles game, 83.5, making it 84 total tackles per game. For the Road Warriors, how about 55 total tackles a game for McAllen Memorial? How often do both teams get to the quarterback? For the Road Warriors, they get to the quarterback a little bit more, 2.5 sacks a game, with 1.3 sacks a game for McAllen Memorial. So that's really the difference. The points per game, and this is where things can really be your difference maker. As for the Road Warriors, they average a shocking 5.8 points in the first quarter. So under a touchdown, to be exact, is what they average. For McAllen Memorial, they average 10 points a quarter so far this season, with 6.3 points in the second quarter for Rowe, compared to McAllen Memorial's just one TD and an extra point, 7 points in the second quarter. The Road Warriors, same deal in the third quarter, with averaging 7 points in the third. McAllen Memorial average no points in the third quarter. I see that 100%. McAllen Memorial has struggled tremendously in that third quarter of having that offense. It's a little shocking, but you definitely see it. In that fourth quarter, that's where McAllen Memorial averaged the most points, with 14 points in the fourth quarter, with Rose 6.2 points in that fourth quarter, making it 33.9 points, so 34 points for McAllen Memorial compared to Rose's average of 29 points in the final points. For both, of course, they played against their common opponents. For McAllen Memorial, they finished off playing against Palmview. Juarez Lincoln, both have played against them, and they're 1-0 against each other. As for Rio Grande City, both have played against them. They're 1-0. Villa, Rose shut out against Villa on the road. They lost 16-0. McAllen Memorial, we all know, in the classic end to that game, McAllen Memorial ended up surviving. 2 missed field goals for the Vela kicker ends up giving McAllen Memorial enough to get the victory, with Braxton Spates hauling it in for that final score. Kane Coy hauling it in with a rushing TD beforehand. And then, of course, it was also a big rush in general. So Mission, both teams have played against Mission, and McAllen Rowe lost to the Mission Eagles this past week. 0-1. McAllen Memorial beat the Mission Eagles fairly easily. And then for McAllen Memorial, they beat their rivals, the Mackay Bulldogs. And Nicky Rowe get to play them in their final week as well. Let's go back to what I was mentioning early on, as this is a possibility. The Mackay Bulldogs, of course, we will know this scenario. We will know if it will matter as much for this game on Friday after, of course, Thursday evening. The game Thursday evening, like we mentioned, at McAllen Veterans Memorial Stadium at DQ Fan Field, is the Mackay Bulldogs hosting the Mission Eagles. The Mission Eagles are this brand new team in a way. They have 2 straight victories in district play. Your district standings for this district, again, is none other than McAllen Memorial first place with just needing one more victory to clinch the district. Edinburgh Vella second, 4-1. McAllen High School 3-2, with Rowe High School 3-2. Palmview are 3-2, with Mission 2-3. So Palmview will most likely lose to Vella. So with that being said, all of a sudden, now you look at McAllen Rowe and say, okay, most likely this Friday is going to be a loss. But on that Thursday, if the Mackay Bulldogs play as undisciplined as they have in the past and don't come out as strong against the Mission Eagles as they have the last 2 weeks after the loss to McAllen Memorial, this is a big thing that can happen. If Mackay lose and McAllen Rowe lose, as well as, of course, Palmview, all of a sudden, the Mission Eagles are sitting pretty in 5th place, if I'm not mistaken, with an opportunity to make the playoffs, where all they'd have to do is take care of business on their final game. If they take care of business, then, of course, yes, there would have to still be some help. Either the Mackay Bulldogs or McAllen Rowe lose their final game. Mackay play McAllen Rowe on their final game, on that final Friday night. If Mission take care of business these next 2 weeks, these next 2 games for themselves, Thursday beating Mackay, and then Friday they win their game. That is a key. All of a sudden, we're talking about from the brink of what felt like a dead season for the Mission Eagles, they can make the playoffs. And they make the playoffs. That would be the story of the season. Forget McAllen Memorial finally beating Edinburgh Vella and winning district in this 5A Division I Region 4 District 16. That would be the crazier story in my eyes. And so there's going to be a lot to talk about after tomorrow night, which is very exciting once again, as we've mentioned before. I always look forward and always love talking about this because it has so much to deal with so much of this season. And it's always exciting. You move on again. We talked a little bit about it before, too, for this district, and that's how exciting it will be. We've talked about the big games from both ends of the floor, from both ends of the field. There's not really another big game to necessarily talk about So we've had the games, of course, yes, Cherryland and Cherryland Pioneer High School. That's an interesting district that we will get to when we return. I'm going to take another break, and we'll probably finish up the show right after this break with, of course, talking about a little bit of Cherryland High and Pioneer. We'll get you ready for that one. I'm Jacob Young, and this is Rio Sports Live Network. Stay tuned.
Turn your passion into a powerful career at Texas Southmost College. Our automotive technology program will train you in everything from maintenance to full vehicle systems repair. Earn a certificate or associate degree and get certified to work as a C maintenance or B-level technician. You'll be guided by seasoned instructors who have decades of real-world automotive experience, helping you get ready to roll into the industry. So take the wheel and apply today at tsc.edu.
No matter where you are in life, Texas Southmost College is here to help you move forward. Whether you're starting fresh, changing careers, or gaining new skills, TSC has affordable programs designed to fit your goals. It's time to take the next step. Think big. Think bright. Think TSC.
This summer, settle in and reconnect with one another. South Padre Island has so many great places to stay. Condos, resorts, and hotels. Oh my! Book your summer getaway today. And start making memories poolside with the people you care about most. Visit SoPadre.com.
It means a lot to me. TSC has changed me to make me realize that I can accomplish things. Just don't give up. I've come a long way from where I was to what I am now, and there's no limit to where I'm going.
Hello, sports fans.
Back we go once again here. 2:53 p.m. on a beautiful Wednesday afternoon here at Luke Fruia Buick GMC in Cadillac. I'm Jacob Young. This is Rio Sports Live Network. And wow. It's October 29th. We're getting just about to, of course, start the final week of high school football, and that starts this Thursday. Final 2 weeks, I should say, of high school football. And it always, of course, it brings me back to this time of year because after Friday as well, it's the 31st, then it's the 1st on Saturday, 2nd on Sunday, 3rd on Monday, and it's the 4th on Tuesday. 4th is, of course, big for myself because it means I'm another year older in my life. And 26 years of age this Tuesday is going to be wild for myself. Just wow. Time really does fly. I've been here since 2019. I was a 19-year-old heading into this and then turned 20 in November, and crazy, crazy times. So, anyways, got to respond to this. It was, of course, exciting. But it's been a crazy fun ride for sure. These games this weekend will be something to really discuss this upcoming. Well, after these games, we'll have some district champs already crowned by this weekend because of the games and the head-to-head and how it will all play out in general. So, very fun indeed. Let's quickly move on to some other fun stuff. A little outside of high school sports. I've just about waited all my life as well for this one thing. And to say this, my Texas A&M Aggies are 8-0 for the first time in my entire lifetime. They were 7-0 for the first time in my lifetime as well. Born in 99. The Texas A&M Aggies for the first time are 8-0 since 94. Beat the LSU Tigers in Baton Rouge at Death Valley for the first time in my lifetime. I've said it before, but it's just absolutely so exciting. And, it's tough for an Aggie fan like myself to start to believe because of how many years of something like this, starting 5-0, starting 6-0, and then all of a sudden falling right back down to earth, finishing 8-4, finishing 9-3, or something of that sort. There's still a long ways to go, but Texas A&M they have a bye week this week and then go on the road to Mizzou, and there's a big chance they can win that. And then, again, like I mentioned, South Carolina at home against a struggling South Carolina, even at 11 a.m. or 12 p.m. Could be a big victory for the Aggies. And if they win both of those games, all of a sudden, you're talking about A&M 10-0 for, again, the first time since I've been alive. And the same, of course, goes for when Texas A&M, they'll play Samford at home. So there's a good chance they're 11-0 heading into Austin. So it's just crazy to think about. And it's tough to have that hope for an Aggie fan, but at this point, I don't care. Let's believe. Have that hope. Believe that it's going to happen. It's just great in general, and I'm excited for it. At Samantha Tan Racing as well. It's looking like they're finalizing a deal for this upcoming December when the Asian Le Mans Series begins. They will have fielded a car, still working on it, I believe. They'll field a car for none other than the Asian Le Mans Series. And Samantha Tan will get to drive in that series. That will be in Malaysia. Malaysia will, of course, that track is in Sepang, which is a fantastic racing circuit. So that will be exciting. We'll keep you up to date on all of that fun stuff. And, of course, racing's coming down to a close. The NASCAR Cup Series and Trucks and Xfinity Series on their final for this upcoming weekend. Like I mentioned, we're getting closer and closer to the end of football season, and basketball season is literally around the corner. It starts this next week. That is college basketball. If I had to say so myself, that would probably be high school basketball as well for girls. We'll start next week for some non-district games potentially. Anyways, it's just, what a time. We've already hit, of course, that time where there's football every single day of the week. There was UTEP playing last night. It's just exciting stuff. We're all looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Let's enjoy this time of year. Cold front for the first time in forever in the RGV. What a glorious, glorious time of year it is. We may start to be cold in the evening of high school football games if we're there. So that'll be exciting. That'll do it for us here from Luke Fruia, Buick GMC, and Cadillac. Again, if you're in the market for a new car, check it out. I've been Jacob Young. This has been a Rio Sports Live presentation. And until next time, we will see you all soon. Right back here, and of course, live on the airways, as we'll bring you all coverage of another week of high school football.